We saw Ricky come on. We thought he was a couple more minutes.
Took off running.
I want to welcome our criminal court clerk, Mr. Gentry, Mr. DeGraffenreid, and Ms. Tucker, and I feel like I'm sitting in Mr. Gentry's chair up here for a little while. Thank you.
That's dangerous.
That is dangerous. And with that, if you would just introduce your team and tell us about your office. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We have not yet judged that time across the street yet. And I actually ran a few steps, but I'm ready. My name's Howard Gentry. I'm criminal court clerk, and I'm here with Alfred DeGraffenreid, my chief deputy clerk to my right, and Nina Tucker, our director of finance. And Nina has all the answers if it's about money. Alfred has all the answers about everything else. This is our sixth budget hearing with the criminal court clerk's office, and I'm going to tell you, it doesn't seem like it's been 6 years. It doesn't seem like I've been away from this council for as many years, but it's been a few, and I'm proud of what you all do. We have a staff of 84 full-time employees, most of them in the main office, but also our warrant and bond office is included in that 84. And I'd just like to start by saying they do an amazing job. When I first came 6 years ago, I knew about as much about being a criminal court clerk as y'all did about being a councilman when you first came on. And you knew a lot, which I knew a lot, but if it weren't for those who came before us, we wouldn't have been able to get the roadmap we need to do the work we do. And this staff has been with me for these years, and they just do an amazing job, and they serve the public in a more amazing way. We continue to improve our process through technology with the help of JIS, our justice integration system, and they just do great work for us with work on our web payments and notice of cost. It was a time where we couldn't do all of our payments on the web, but we can now, and that is a big deal. And as of December 1st, we actually can take all payments over the web. And also our notice of cost form, which might not seem like a lot by just saying it, but prior to a year ago, or really months ago, we were not able to tell a person how much they owed when they were standing before the judge. Now we can print that out, give it to them. They're able to have instructions of where to go and how to get started with the payments. And it's turned out to be a big help for the office, because our job is to provide an opportunity to, once the judge makes his disposition, then the next step is to comply with that disposition. It's our job to help them to comply, and that's not just court costs and fines, but also comply in other ways. The goal of our office is to provide clerical services to all justice-related agencies and to the public at large, and continue to enhance collection and compliance efforts regarding fines and costs. Over this year, we have processed over 84,000 cases in general sessions. That's a lot. And we've also had over 271,000 docketed events in both general sessions and trial courts. What we're most proud, not most proud, but very proud of, is that our expungements continue to rise. Last year, we processed 25,000. This year, 30,000. So they continue to rise. And, you know, expungements, again, is an opportunity for those who qualify by legislation. They have the opportunity to have those records expunged if they do qualify. And sometimes we need to be, all the time, we need to be proactive in allowing people to understand that, and allowing them to understand that the majority of the time, it's no cost. As long as their court costs and fees have been satisfied, then they can have that done through our office. And so we're really, really happy with that, because once they do it, they can move on with their lives. They can get housing, they can get jobs, they can just move on. Because of our partnership with Goodwill and Metro Nashville Public Schools and the administrative offices of the courts, AOC referred us as a model clerk's office in Tennessee, and we were invited to Knoxville at the statewide General Sessions Judicial Conference to talk about our Bringing Justice to You program, where we partner with public schools and help the families of our students move through the justice system, to have their license reinstated, and to have cases expunged and what have you. And now they have introduced that also with the Public Defender's Office and the Public Defender's Office. Now they're encouraging the other 94 counties around the state to engage in the community activity for expungements and driver's license reinstatement. As you remember last year, a lot of you remember last year, we were given an opportunity for a PIP investment plan, and we convened the offices of juvenile court and circuit court for an e-filing document management public investment plan, and we are ahead of schedule in that, and that's going to be another big deal for all the courts, and we executed the contract in April, and you might just want to briefly explain that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Gentry. Well, the public investment plan,
I can get my breath.
For the e-file and document management is going to really help attorneys who come through our system, because they're going to be able to file electronically without having to come into the courthouse. Also, we hope that they'll be able to have one user login, so that if they're doing business in either in circuit or in juvenile or in criminal, they can file with just one login. Also, with the document management system, it's going to allow us to take documents that we receive from the court, and we can send them to different divisions within Metro. We can also send emails of dispositions and items from the court as an attachment to people in the public, so it's a lot faster. Right now, what we have to do is we have to grab the case file, make a copy, or scan it in, and then get it to them. But this will allow us to do it a little more effectively and efficiently. So that's what I have.
Thank you. And we'll be ready to go. And of course, you've already heard from Ricky Rooker, and you'll hear from juvenile court. If you haven't heard from them, then they're all ready to go too. So we're excited about it. Let's get to our 18 and 20 budget modifications. The recommended improvements that we have before us is one compliance and collections position, and that was a part of the request that started last year. And we were hopefully awarded 3, 1, and 1. I got it, Ty. 3, 1, and 1. So we got our 3 last year. That is 2 compliance, persons, which also some people might call collections, and a cashier. This year we hope to have that other position, and will help us to build that department into a full-staffed, viable department. But it's already, I'm jumping here, Alfred, but it's already on the move. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And also, the other position is half a position, which is state court deputy clerk position in Second Circuit. And that's the agreement we entered into a little over a year ago to help out in the cases that in Amanda McClendon's courts, and we've become very stressed as it relates to staffing, because it's taken on such a great role. So we need a little help to be able to continue to staff it properly. So that's where we are, and that's the request we have made, and we're very happy with that if we're fortunate enough to be approved by the council. As far as our compliance office is concerned, this is an office office that actually, in the old days, we might call it a collections office. But with compliance, it's more than just collecting money. It's also providing people opportunities to keep from having their driver's license suspended through payment plans, and also having them to have the opportunity to have their driver's license reinstated while they're paying. So it's more to it than just saying, pay me my money. And in this division, also, we determine who is truly eligible or able to pay, and those who do not have the capacity to pay. So that's what these new staffers are doing. They're figuring all this out and helping the courts prior to the persons coming into the courtroom or starting to pay. They, of course, it's after they come out of the courtroom, but also keeps them from having to, say, come back and beg for help. We start that help early, and those who didn't get the opportunity early are able to come back, and we work with them. So far, we didn't start until February 1st in the true staffing. The division's doing well. We've seen over 123 clients, and we have them on payment plans. We're really on payment plans. We have 342 cases, and we're just talking about 3 months now. We've consulted, as I stated, around over 300 clients, and with the consultation, we're talking about 333 clients on 1,297 cases. We have 42 cases paid in full after consultation. We have 96 defendants on 161 cases that have received their driver's license back, and we also have generated almost $50,000 through this process. And when we had our mayor's hearing, right at the beginning of this, we had received 10,000. So those figures are moving up. Also, we are happy with the technology, and again, thank JIS for their assistance, but we now have online payments, for all of our areas. Now, it used to be just state trooper tickets, but now we can accept payments for general sessions courts and also the criminal courts. And again, it is helping us to handle a lot of transactions. From July 1, 2016 to today, we've handled over 2,100 transactions. And let me see, we got me two numbers here, Albert. Oh, and from July 1, 2015 to June 30th, 2016, we had only handled 707 transactions and $27,000 collected. With the new process in this new year, we've handled, again, 2,181 transactions and have garnered over $400,000. So it's still giving people greater opportunities to pay and greater opportunities to comply. So basically, where we are right now is that with the budget in hand, we are able to, I believe, to better facilitate our duties and our responsibilities and our service to our clients, who are not just the persons that come before the judges, but also the lawyers and the different courts. And we have stepped up our technology. Collections is always going to be a challenge because in our courts, and it's happening across the nation, we find that across the nation, about 70% of the people that come before the criminal courts are truly indigent, and that those figures hold true in our office. So we are working hard to be able to provide the opportunity to comply financially in every way that a person could use, their cell phones, their checks, credit cards, or whatever. But we're also offering an opportunity for those who are struggling to be able to fill out forms and work with them one-on-one to be able to move them through the system also. So we feel very good about those things that have taken place to this point. We're excited about what the future is going to bring. And I'll stop now and allow you to ask questions because you might want to hear about something else.
Thank you, Mr. Gentry. Councilor Allen.
One simple question. I noticed that the charge, commissions, and fees seem to have a decreasing trend over the years. And is that the same as collections, or is that a whole different set of funds coming in?
It's true, but also the number of cases are decreasing over
That's
the
a good
years.
thing, huh?
And yes, the number of persons that are coming before the courts are decreasing. So every trend in the criminal court system right now is decreasing, which kind of affects your revenue and your ability to collect huge funds. But then
That's
again, we don't want to run government and the criminal court system off backs of poor people. We just don't want to do that.
Oh, that's helpful. Thanks.
Thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just be brief. Mr. Gentry, I think you're right. I think you run a very efficient operation over there. Just want to ask you about the expungement, the felony expungement. I think it's $450, and I think they went up from $350 to $450. That extra $100, does your office get any of that? Does that go to the trial court?
Right now, we get $100 from that figure, and the rest go. Nina, you might have to. I told you might not have to talk, but you will now because she's responsible for distributing it out.
Okay.
The $100 is a clerk fee that is turned over to the general fund each month.
I see.
The balance is sent to the TBI.
Okay.
Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
The other 350?
Yes, sir.
Right. And Mr. Gentry, your 1A docket seemed to be really efficient. I noticed that a lot of first-time offenders or people that get a chance to go down to the 1A docket, they seem to have the cases expunged, disposed of down there. Does that cause by not sending them up to 3A, 4A, places like that? I would think that it's pretty efficient.
Well, yes, and 1A was a big experiment right when I got there, and I think it's smoothed out a lot, and it does allow us to be able to accomplish, or really our clients to be and to be able to, the system to be able to accomplish a lot in that one place. Once they book themselves and they come into the system, they're able to handle a lot of things at 1A that would have gone all over the courtroom or caused them to have to leave and come back for another hearing. But also, I got to give JIS another thank you, because they have created a queue. Is it queue? Citation process, which is a queue that actually cut some steps down. 5 different steps down to 1 just by punching a button now. And that has caused us to be able to operate, our clerks to be able to operate more efficiently, because if you've been down there, you know it's a ton of people down there. It's like hundreds of people down there every day. And that has allowed us to be able to modify what we do on the clerk side in a way that streamlines a lot of the things that were taking place.
And I was here when we didn't do such a good job of collecting fees, and I think you're doing a really good job now. So I want to say kudos to you, and I hope the amnesty program that the mayor spoke of on the day she presented the budget, that the public defender's office as well as the clerk's office work on help getting those fees reduced so that those who want to get themselves right with the law have that opportunity. But I thank your office, and I think they're pretty efficient and doing a really good job. And I know they're helping a lot of first employees out because I hear them talk about it. So thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Mendez.
Thanks for being here. Just a few questions, and I'm looking at in the budget book pages E-24, 4, and 5. And the first question is, there's not very much economic activity going through the special purpose fund, but I'm curious what that is about.
They tell me that they need to handle that part of it. I could actually, no, go ahead.
I looked at them first.
Well, we do, it's kind of like a holding cell. We take about, I believe it's 21,000 that for the domestic violence victim assistance program. So basically, it's tied into how many people come through the courts. So we just turn that money over to those programs for that piece of it? Are you talking about, and we also have computerization fund, which was brought by legislation, which allows us to pay for computers as necessary
Okay, so,
And technology.
and technology.
so it sounds like it's just some, couple discrete programs where it's money in, money out?
Yes. The Victim Assistance Program is, it is 5 different agencies that those funds are split between. And the fee is $45, and that's split between those 5 agencies.
Okay.
And then the other one is the data entry fee, which is a computerization fund.
All right, thanks. And then on E24-4, there's, and I know that the summaries we get roll up different things, but I'm trying to figure out what's the difference between the line item under revenue for charges, commissions, and fees on the one hand, and then the other line item for fines, forfeits, and penalties. Just sort of in, layperson terms, what's the difference between what's rolled up in those buckets?
Okay, the fine, forfeits, and penalties, that includes all different types of costs. You've got county fines, you've got county expenses, you've got a public defender fee, you've got county litigation taxes, you've got probation fees. There's like 15 different costs, part of the fine, forfeits, and penalties. The other, the charges, commissions, and fees, the majority of that is clerk fees, and then we get a 5% commission for clerk fees on anything that we collect. So that's what that fee is for. It's 5% for costs that we have collected, and then the majority of the clerk fees.
So, and I applaud all the efforts your office has been participating in and trying to get people out of being trapped in the criminal justice system. When people are getting their court costs waived, that's that's in both line items, or just the fines, forfeits, and penalties?
It would be both line items.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So in the fines, forfeits, and penalties, when the revenue is down about 11 or 12%, that's, I'm assuming, a combination of decreased caseload and the success of the expungement programs where court costs are being waived?
Not the expungement program, but court costs being waived, because everybody that has court costs waived does not get expungements.
Fair enough.
Yes.
And then I think the last question on this is, so we've been talking about court costs. If somebody, as part of the case being resolved, has a restitution amount where they're supposed to pay restitution, that's not included anywhere in this at all, right?
No, we do not collect any restitution unless a judge orders us to, and that's very rare. And when that happens, it usually comes to our office, and then we have to refund it to a probation officer, or if the judge tells us where to send it to. But that doesn't happen. We don't normally get restitution through our office.
And this, you might not have this answer readily available, but just sort of a best guess, if you can. On that 12% decrease on the fines, forfeits, and penalties, do you have any sense, relatively speaking, how much of that decrease is because of caseload going down as opposed to anticipated increase in waiving of court costs?
Probably more on the waiver than the cases going down. Matter of fact, it is.
Okay.
I mean, the waivers have gone up tremendously over the last 8-10 years. And some people could look at it as not a good thing. Some people can look at it as a great thing. But I think in 2008, it was maybe $800,000. Now it's about $14 million. And so it has increased tremendously. But again, not just here in Nashville, but it's just a national trend. And just to be clear, you already know this, but for the public, our office does not waive fees. Our office, that happens in the courtroom. So we do not
Right.
have the authority to waive a fee.
Well, and I guess you sort of anticipate my question. I'm glad you raised that clarification. Are you all, when you're looking going forward on your budget, are you anticipating that the pace of the waiving of fees will pick up even more, or do you think it's plateaued?
I actually believe that with the new compliance system that we have, the fee waivers are going to be better monitored. I mean, in the courtroom, unfortunately, they don't have the budget and the resources to actually go into each person's finances and figure it all out. And but we have a process now that the judges have agreed to, where there's actually a 5-page form that is filled out, and we're spending more time looking at true indigency opposed to somebody falling through the cracks. So I think what you're going to see is a two-pronged deal. One is that the waivers might top out, but the other thing you're going to see is that because we have this compliance operation now, you're going to see, just by virtue of people being able to move through the process with payment plans and other things, I think you're going to see there'll be a uptick in revenue from that process, even though that process is not put in place to earn money. But you're just going to see it by virtue of that, and you'll see. So I actually believe that the fee waive, the court costs being waived will plateau to some extent, but I also believe that the collections process will become better for us.
Thank you. And I guess there is one other topic. When the General Sessions judges hold a community court out to work on waiving court costs and getting people out of the gravity well of the criminal justice system, I understand that your office staffs that
No, we don't staff it. We participate, but in some instances, if it's bringing justice to you, we pull the records. But truly, in the community courts, they don't need us until after the fact. And you've got to understand also that the majority of the people that come to those events are people that have already been through the court system, who probably are very delinquent. What they are delinquent already, and so. Again, I say that if we do a better job of capturing that process the day they walk in the courtroom and handle that business on the front end, you're going to find the back end business is going to decrease because people will be taken care of. So, you know, it's. I know where you're going, and you should be going there. But the fact is that it's a little complicated, but not confusing. It's just we're trying to work for the greater good, but also trying to make sure that we pay our way. And so far, it's working.
I mean, I think I'm thrilled to get people out of the stuck being in the system. I guess where I was confused was I thought that you all would staff those in order to make the indigency determinations on site.
Well, they have lawyers there who are able to get into the system. But basically, prior to this new process that we brought in place, there was not a whole lot of ability to really delve into someone's finances. They're just under oath, and you either believed it or you didn't. But I think after the last judges meeting, they're making some changes that will. Maybe we will be there more now, but our forums will definitely be there. And so it's going to probably slow the process down enough to be able to determine, get a better determination of true, pure indigency opposed to someone who's just in bad shape right now.
Thanks, and again, thanks for all y'all do.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilor Hurt.
Thank you, Chair. I don't want to belabor anything, but in the vein that you were talking about how you may see some revenue, would it be fair to say that while you see a decrease in those charges and commissions, that overall we may see an increase in sale taxes because the people that you are helping, they then get their license or get their expungements removed or whatever, and then they were able to get a job. They get a job, they are able to make money, and they can start buying and purchasing things that they could not before.
And that is, yes.
And I just happen to know that because there is another organization that I know you all have worked with over the past 2 or 3 years, and you've been able to do quite a bit of difference in people's lives with the things that you do, and I just wanted to commend you on that. But I do have one question. The increase for this part-time staff for the state trial courts, that is separate from what state trial courts is asking for, but what this person will serve the state trial court system, right?
Yes, so state trial courts, they don't come before, I mean, yeah, they've already, so,
Yeah, they've already been
do
in
not, do, no, our job is to staff, to
and
clerk
serve,
it.
right,
To clerk
okay.
it. So those are two separate budgets, two
Right.
separate needs, and so don't handcuff them for
Okay,
that,
yeah,
or nor us.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. I was
Yes.
thinking that you'll basically be serving
Yeah, our
them.
job is to serve the courts.
Right.
And so if the courts have a need, that is a true need.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we have to have a little help to accommodate what the courts are doing, and this is that time.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Bill Pridemore.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mr. Gentry. I'll just make sure I'm clear. The 1.5 FTE additional, that's what the administration gave you, I mean, what you requested, right? I mean, is that an additional?
Am I on oath? Yes. Okay. I asked for it.
I don't want to get you in trouble.
No, I'm not going to get in trouble because I'm good. I mean, not I'm good, but I'm good with it. I asked for a full position. We got funded the half position. We met today, and we're going to figure it out. We'll make it work for now. They'll probably see me come back for another half one day. And but right now, I know everybody needs something. And if I get my other half, somebody's not going to get theirs. So we'll make it work right now, unless we can find out something to do later on. But we did ask for one position, and we got the half. So we're okay. We'll be okay. All right. And I'm not worried about getting in trouble. This is for real. We'll be okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All righty.
Thank you, Councilman. Seeing no one else in the queue, I want to thank the criminal court clerks and his office for being here. And we will go on